The way back's a bit awkward, Neferu quiet, clearly upset. I haven't really ever seen him like this before, and I have to remind myself that I probably rarely see the real Neferu. He's putting on an act just like Alex, just like they both have to. And though I'm curious about his family situation, I have enough sense not to pry. Instead, I ask what I'm most worried about. What's to stop Alex from betraying us? He could just as easily tell Cassius about our plot. The jackal is staring off into the water, his elbows on the railing of the sightseer as he hunches over.
He won't. He can't bear the thought of Cassius knowing of his betrayal.
The usual confidence and natural smugness that's usually in the jackal's voice is completely missing, his tone flat. You sure?
Yes. His love for Cassius is almost equal to that of his loyalty to Amorpha, which is why I assured him that Cassius wouldn't be harmed by our plans. We have little to worry about.
The jackal's mood puts me off from asking any further questions, and we sail the rest of the way to the palace in silence. Three days later, Alex is able to gain full access to the archives. He doesn't explain to us how he did it, instead simply notifying Neferu of the specific time he'd open the archives for us and to be ready. I don't have to argue to come along this time. Instead, Virginia tells me that I'll need to go if we're to erase my profile from the palace's database. Doing this will allow me to leave the palace without being killed by Com, just another last resort in case things go bad. Neferu stays behind this time, deciding it to be best considering he's not exactly needed for what we're about to do. Alex walks stiffly ahead of us, not speaking or really acknowledging us in any real way. I find it unnerving after knowing the cat for so long, though Virginia doesn't seem bothered at all. We walk to a portion of the palace that I haven't been to very often, mostly because I was never shown the area. Alex comes to a door as he presses his hand to, and unlike the other black panels, this one flashes a green color before the door opens.
Wow.
We walk inside the room, and I get my first look at the archive. I guess I'd expected rows of bookshelves full of some kind of digital storage or whatever the wolves might use. Instead, I'm greeted by the sight of a giant blue glowing sphere with a honeycomb pattern covering its surface, always hexagons.
It really is. It's such a sci-fi thing.
It's always hexagons. What's most striking about it, though, is the swirling characters that appear and disappear just over the surface. They're symbols I don't recognize. Not any that I've seen on Adastra before. Sitting in front of the floating sphere are two stone dragons, mouths open in silent snarls. Alex seems to be in a hurry as he walks up to the globe. Without hesitation, he sticks his paw into the swirling blue, and the characters and swirls seem to congregate around it before the whole thing pulses. This seems to satisfy the cat, as he turns away.
That should give you full access. You're on your own from here.
With that, the cat leaves. I watch him disappear out the door, for the first time feeling a bit sad at how our relationship has changed. Although it was always this way from his perspective, Marco.
Yes, Marco.
Virginia remains unbothered, though, walking up to the blue sphere as I follow.
It's sad that she doesn't even have access to this. Yeah. She's in the fucking family. I don't know. She can't have access to the information. She's a woman.
To be fair, I don't think Amicus would have access either if he was not in prison. I think it's just the Emperor.
Just the Emperor, I know.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So it was just Kato before.
It just seems strange.
There's a lot of infantilization with, everyone involved. They really do feel like a bunch of moody teenagers that can't do anything, that aren't allowed to do anything.
Without,
They can't even lock their
permission.
doors.
Yeah.
I stand there awkwardly for a moment before clearing my throat. So what is this thing?
The archive.
Yeah, but it looks...
It's parental, yes, and no, I don't know how it works. It was only used as a method of communication with the parents before they ceased contact, hence the meditation pillow.
Virginia gestures at the pillow before she leans forward slightly, a streak of blue light wrapping around her head briefly before she leans back.
It connects to the host's brain, similar to the lingua, and operates on mind control. She has a little smile now.
Yep. Wow.
Yes. I haven't used it often, but it's fairly easy to control. You'll find out soon enough.
Oh. I feel a bit nervous, but Virginia focuses back on the blue globe. Suddenly, a small screen appears over the sphere, and I see what looks like the amphitheater.
What day was the final trial?
I'm about to answer when suddenly Virginia just waves me into silence, focusing on the screen again. I see the scene change to a bloody sunset, and I feel the same anxiety I felt that day as I see Cato and Amicus appear on the screen, followed by me and Cassius. The angle is high, and the scene is a bit distant, probably from the palace, but I can make out everyone clearly. Cassius strips and hurries down the steps of the amphitheater, and I want to look away, but don't, as Cato turns on Amicus and punches him in the face. Virginia's reaction is small, but noticeable, clearly surprised by Cato's brutality. What follows is the awkward staged posing and the pin. Then the footage of me using the Nervo on Cassius. This is followed by Amicus tearing off Cato's visor. After that, I run off screen, and I get to watch as drones descend on Amicus, and he suddenly goes limp as they, I assume, stun him. Virginia watches all of this with an open mouth until Amicus is escorted away, and Cato is picked up by a small ship that lands in the middle of the amphitheater. Then she shakes her head.
Males.
Virginia sighs out in frustration as the screen fades.
Tisk, tisk, tisk. Dumb boys.
So you got the footage?
I filed it away to a domain accessible by me and Neferu. We'll figure out a way to use it delicately.
And the investigation into the crash? This is something I'd brought up to Virginia and Neferu before we came here, even though both seemed skeptical that it could be useful in any way. That even Cato wouldn't be so devious as to kill his own friend, a friend that happened to be the Emperor. Even now, Virginia sighs as if it's an annoying inconvenience, but focuses for a moment until she seems satisfied.
Done. All documents related to the investigation are now in the same location. We'll go over it later. Well, at least you and Neferu can.
There's a momentary pause. Well, that was easy.
What did you expect? Parental tech makes everything fast and easy.
Yeah, I suppose.
So, are you ready to use it?
I think so. Virginia smiles at me.
Don't worry, it's easy. Simply keep your mind clear of anything except your objective. Your profile and how it should be wiped clean from the archive.
My profile. I try to think up how I should imagine a profile, but Virginia stops me.
You're already thinking too much. Just this, your profile, wipe it from the archives.
I swallow hard, but allow Virginia to gently push me forward until one of the tendrils touches my head. It's a cool feeling at first, then suddenly my body seizes up involuntarily, as it feels like my entire brain twitches.
Keep focused on your objective.
My profile. Gone. My profile. Erase it. My profile. Delete from the archives. A dagger. Screams. Pain. Blood. Hissing breath, spurting red. Absolute anguish. Oh, we're doing this now. Marco. No. Please. Don't leave me here. Please come back to me. You can't leave me to be alone like this. Amicus screams right into my ear. And I've never heard him sound like this before. It's horrible. And I know I need to comfort him, to tell him that I'm not leaving, but my voice is gone and air hisses from my throat. No, no, no. Speak to me. Amicus's voice rises in pitch, panicking, becoming desperate. Then it all stops.
You can prevent this. But only if you submit yourself to the benevolent will of the parents. What the fuck?
Where am I? Page 4. There we go. Just gonna put that there for later.
Oh, I thought I made you do this.
No.
I was like, do some game-breaking shit.
No, I'm leaving a save.
Oh, that's scary. Will you? Wait, what was the question again?
Submit yourself to the benevolent will of the parents in order to avoid that just happened.
Yes.
I gasp and pull back, head reeling. I feel soft but strong paws grip me from the shoulders.
Are you all right?
I look around, wide-eyed, feeling almost sick as that weird feeling of control in my control in brain suddenly leaves. Control in brain? I don't know what to say, and Virginia glances back at the sphere.
Might not be suited to a simian brain. Calm? Yes, Virginia? Locate Marco's profile. There is no such profile archived. Well, you did it at least. Let's get you back to Neferu's room.
The creepy music they play whenever something like spacey is happening. Anything related to the parents, they have that like unnerving, really sparse song.
Yeah.
We walk through the halls, Virginia having to help because of my unsteady feet. I'm stunned, feeling as if I'd just come up from another drug trip. But that's not what I felt, or even the visions of violence that have me shaken up. It's Amicus's screams of despair that linger in my head.
Oh. Right, okay. Okay.
Did you lose track of what was happening?
No, it just occurred to me what the parents were actually asking us. Like, in terms of, I think, our fate, I think.
What do you think?
I think we just chose to die.
You think we chose to die?
Well, no, I think it's gonna be the scenario, like, you know, as we were, you know, cosplaying with the with like the tiger character, where there will come a choice, and we are that character, as I keep referencing in this like we are the next one of her. So I get the impression there's going to be a scenario where Amicus has to choose between us and the Empire, and he should pick the Empire.
Interesting. Because the vision was of Amicus thinking that we're going to be like Amicus's words seem to be in reaction to that idea already, and they said we could prevent this.
But I thought what we were preventing was the words they gave us at the beginning with the anguish and the blood, which I thought was the bloodshed of Adastra, basically, if we don't choose to be a martyr. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought what we were... So basically, there was Amicus arguing... So Amicus yelling...
Because we can go back.
No, I totally... I remember it. It's just like... So the line... Like, the first line you get is like, dagger screams, blood, pain, hissing breath, spurting, blah, 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 blah. I got the impression that was just like a... The state of the world is represented by these words here. Like, all this horrible stuff can happen to Adastra.
You think it's a metaphor?
Not necessarily.
And not just a dagger?
I mean, not necessarily, but I mean, it could be a literal dagger, but I think it's something that would affect... I don't think the dagger was in reference to us getting stabbed. I basically think we're preventing a horrible, world-changing scenario or event by choosing to be a martyr.
A dagger screams, pain, blood, hissing breath, spurting red, absolute anguish.
Like, I envision this, like, when you're watching, like, a film or something, and they show you just a bunch of images of horrible things to imply, like, the state of the world.
Marco, please come back to me. You can't leave me alone like this.
Yeah, but...
I've never heard him like this before.
Amicus doesn't want us to die, but we have to save the world by dying.
I want to comfort him, but my voice is gone and air hisses from my throat.
I still think I still think we're gonna be a martyr.
But you don't think this scene is Marco dying?
Well, okay, then go back to the question that they ask us. Literally, you can prevent this. I guess so. I guess so. I don't know.
I'm just curious because there was zero ambiguity for me when I read the scene. I was like, oh, Marco's fucking dying and Amicus is losing his mind, and they're like, you can fix this though. You can stop this if you listen to us.
Yeah, I understand. I know what you're saying. I don't know. I thought it was more metaphorical. But
because nothing would make Amicus more desperate.
I thought us not being able to speak to him,
making him sound in a way that you never heard before.
Well, I still think it's gonna be like that scenario with the tiger, where something bad's gonna happen to us, and we have he's given a choice that will involve us, and it's maybe for the good of everyone.
Whoa!
Oh, what the fuck are you doing?
Don't worry about it. Don't read anything or look at anything. Whoops. I'm stunned, feeling as if I'd just come from another drug trip. But it's not what I felt. Or even the visions of violence that have me shaken up. It's Amicus's screams of despair that linger in my head. I have to see him as soon as possible. I have to make sure he's alright. You smell so good. Amicus has me pinned to the floor on the little blanket that I brought with me. He's smothering me with his big body, grinding down against me as he licks and nips at my neck. I haven't even been here for more than a minute.
Oh, cute.
Wait, what if Calm sees? I gasp around the licks, and Amicus responds by holding my head in his giant paws, keeping me steady as he starts to push his hips against me, his thighs forcing my legs upward. Amicus mumbles into my throat. Then let him watch. Calm isn't watching, as far as I know. Somehow I'd been able to convince Cassius to give us more privacy. Actually, I think I just grossed him out when I asked, wrinkling his nose as he instructed Calm to keep the drone at the top of the ladder this time. At that moment, I feel the wolf's hard length pressing against my ass, and even though I'm in my underwear and robes, I pull back. Whoa, not now, Amicus. Amicus goes on nuzzling me, moving at my face and locking lips with me for several seconds before he continues to push his hips against me. He finally pulls back a little. I know, I'm just playing around a little. I've been down here too long. I love you. Everything about you. Clearly. That's all I'm able to say before he starts to kiss me again, licking and sucking, and I'm at least glad that it tastes like they're providing him with mouthwash stuff down here. I've never seen Amicus so horny before, which is saying something. His paws gripping and stroking at me, almost desperately, as his muzzle kisses every inch of my neck and face. He pushes his body down against mine, his considerable chest and belly crushing me flat against the ground. But when his muzzle starts dipping down lower, snuffling against my chest and under my robes, I decide that I've had enough. I reach around to grab his upraised rear, getting a handful of thick, furry ass as my fingers squeeze dangerously close to the spot under his tail. Predictably, Amicus gasps in surprise and pulls back, quickly sitting up so that his rear is safely pressed against the blanket, and I have room to finally sit up myself. What was that for? For not letting me catch my breath. And I know you don't like things near your butt. Well, emperors shouldn't have things near their butt. I roll my eyes at his silly but understandable insecurity, and crawl up to Amicus to sit on his lap. The wolf eagerly pulling me in. I love you. I love you too. Amicus rubs his paws up and down my arms and shoulders, still just feeling me out.
I think I have to point out that it makes me I think it's funny to hear you hear you say I love you and then say I love you back to yourself. Because to me, I just get to see Keith sitting here and he just says, I love you. I love you too. It's just it's kind of funny.
Oh, Arnold, my dearest. Fucking, I have a shrine.
I love you, Stephanie. I love you too, Stephanie.
Say goodnight, Dot. Goodnight, Dot.
That show's great.
I can't wait to get out of here. No more hiding when I'm Emperor. I'm going to show you the real Adastra. Being stuck behind these walls is not how the Emperor's beautiful lover should be treated. I touch back, pressing my hands over his paws and resting my head against his chest, listening to the rumble of his voice. Oh? And what's the real Adastra? Amicus pulls his paw away for just a moment to wave it dismissively before returning it to press against my chest. These politics. It doesn't represent the moon's true face. I need to take you to other cities and landscapes. The people are vastly different, too, from region to region. I listened to him contentedly for a few minutes, happy to just hear him speak again, reminded of how easy it is for us to just talk to each other. And we actually have time to talk. Kato's in a different city on official business, so Cassius has granted us at least a little more time than last visit. Amicus rocks back and forth as I pet the fur on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. It's clear that they allow him to bathe down here, but the lack of any perfume leaves only the slight smell of his natural musk. While I miss the lavender smell I'm used to, I don't mind the masculine scent he's giving off, especially after our little reunion just now. I want to sit here forever, feeling completely calm and safe for the first time this week. I know it has to end, though. There's so much to tell this wolf, so I pull back, looking up at Amicus's face. Amicus? Yes? I need to talk to you about something. Go on. Amicus leans down, pressing his nose against my hair and inhaling deeply. It's about the parents, I think. I need to talk to you about something they showed me. The snuffling in my hair pauses as Amicus absorbs what I just said. The parents? Yeah. The parents. I sigh, wondering if I'm going to have just as much trouble convincing Amicus of this as I did with everyone else. I still remember the look Neferu gave me when I told him about the drug trip I had. Amicus seems to sense my frustration and hugs me a little tighter. Hey, I'm just surprised. I believe you. I have no reason not to. He nuzzles my head again. Did they come to you in a dream, or... Sort of. I tell Amicus what happened in the hallway in front of the meditation room. What? I push through his shocked exclamations and go on to describe the dreams I've been having as well. What? But why wouldn't you tell me this? I shrug against his body. I forgot about them as soon as I woke up. I didn't remember until after what happened with Cassius. Well... I feel Amicus's chest puff up with pride. Sounds like I really am meant to be Emperor, eh? That's what they said. But you know what else this means? The monitors know I'm here. They're okay with it. So I guess it's not even really illegal, right? There's a pause. I mean, it may have just been a dream, but it's nice to hear, nevertheless. Also, stay away from that room. Well, I find it funny that Cassius is using Somni to make contact. I'd rather you not use it. Amicus kisses the top of my head as I let out a sigh of exasperation. I didn't do it on purpose. And you said you believed me. Amicus lets out a chuckle that rumbles through his torso and into my back. It's a comforting feeling, and despite my annoyance, I find myself pressing deeper against him. I believe that you saw these things, but who can say if it was real or not? Sometimes I have dreams of entities that I believe are the parents, but I don't necessarily believe it actually is them. I'm quiet for a moment, letting the silence drag out, and I know Amicus well enough at this point that he's got his ears pointed up, waiting for me to respond. Trust me. Like, seriously, you need to trust me on this, Amicus. Amicus spends his moment being quiet, resting his cheek against my head, contemplating. Do you trust me? There's only a short pause. All right, yes. I do trust you. There's a sense of conviction to his voice, and I can tell that he really is determined to believe me. Thank you. But I only say that because of something else that happened. What was that? I take a deep breath. Amicus, sensing my anxiety, suddenly turns me in his lap to face him, letting me lay my head against his chest as he pets the side of my face. Hey, you can tell me anything, Marco. Like I said, I believe you. He says it even more firmly this time, tipping his muzzle down to look at me, as I look up at him, meeting eyes. Alright, so I was in the archives with Virginia yesterday. Amicus's eyes widen. The archives? What were you doing in there? This reminds me that I also need to tell Amicus what we've been plotting this past week.
So much to tell him.
He's so out of the loop. He was the most prominent character in the entire game, so you really feel his absence when he's suddenly gone for hours. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you in a bit, but something happened when I was hooked up to the machine. You connected with it? Why would... In a bit. Anyway, while I was hooked up, I had another vision from the parents. Amicus thinks. Well, I suppose that would make more sense, considering that's the way the Emperor speaks with them. But it's only the Emperor they speak to. Yeah, well, I'm the Emperor now.
Yeah, maybe this all just means I should be the Emperor.
Plot twist. Yeah, well, for whatever reason, they started talking to me. Actually, you started talking to me. Me? I think so. You were, like, yelling, telling me you didn't want me to leave you. Oh, well, that does sound like something I would say in such a situation. Oh. But you sounded really scared and sad, and I felt like I couldn't breathe. My throat hurt, and just felt weird. Amicus seems to contemplate all this, but doesn't say anything more. I start to get frustrated, but I realize that I can't really expect him to offer more information that I don't already know. I guess I had hoped that he would have more insight into why parents do things the way they do. But really, I'm on my own figuring all this out. I sigh and lean my head against the wolf's chest. Hey, what's wrong? I'm sure you'll be fine. The parents are very mysterious. My father had several visions he had trouble interpreting. I feel like something bad is going to happen. Like really bad. And I don't know what it is that I should do to stop it. Did they give you any guidance at all? They just said to give in to their benevolent will, or something like that. Amicus gently pushes me back so that he can look directly at me before he smiles gently. Well, there's your answer. The parents only want what is best for all of us. Just follow their guidance. Keep your mind and heart open to them, and all will turn out as it should. What a terrifying blind thing to have to try to do. Because what does that even mean? You're like, what the
leave your heart open. It's like, what does that mean?
Yeah. Hearing faith arguments is a lot in the context of this game. You're like, what the fuck do I do with this?
It's a lot in the context of anything.
Yeah, especially given, the gay demographics' general predisposition towards faith and arguments related to it.
Well, they've had a bit of a bad relationship.
Excuse me? Is it time for the religious trauma part of the game? Let's go!
It's like, you're going to hell. It's like, why? It's like, I just know. I have faith. It's just the truth. It just is.
Yeah, I do not have a good reaction to the word faith.
Oh, no, I don't either. I'm like, I just have faith that this will work out. It's like, no, give me the stats, please.
It's like, Amicus, I love you, but stop talking. It's when you say things that things go bad. If only we could fix the part where you talk.
Let's just be quiet and be cute.
Yeah. Those sentences wouldn't be out of place during a sermon in a church on Earth, and I'm reminded again how these parents really are seen as gods. It's a comforting thought that I could just do as they say and just be fine, made all the more comforting by Amicus's smile and confidence in the matter.
That would be comforting if I could believe.
Yep. It's almost like that's why so many people believe, because it's a comforting thing.
It's pretty to think so. You know, it's one of those...
It's thought terminating.
It's like,
it quiets all of your worries.
Everything will be fine. It just will.
Yep.
Maybe I do wish it could.
Instead, we just take comfort in the opposite argument. Nothing matters!
And that's great.
Oblivion!
I don't matter at all, and that's fantastic.
Yep. I'll never find that comic again, but that one comic that I think we both saw where it was like, yeah, it's great, isn't it? It's, like,
oh,
it's great.
Oh no, nothing matters.
Yeah. Someone's all morose about it, and the other person's like, yeah, I love it. It's great.
Yeah, isn't it great?
It's fantastic. But there's a nagging feeling in the back of my mind that there's more to the parents than the wolves seem to know. I lower my voice a bit. I just don't know if I trust them. Amicus laughs, and that actually does annoy me. Hey, I'm serious. There's something off about all this. Like the way they're going about things. If they want me to do something, then they should just tell me instead of showing me scary visions. Amicus forces himself to stop laughing and clears his throat, trying to look serious. I'm sorry, Marco. I just sometimes forget that you're outside the Galaxius and aren't accustomed to these things. The parents are nothing but benevolence and goodwill. We all feel their guidance in our lives, even if we're not able to speak to them directly like the Emperor. The fact that you're able to do so is an incredible honor. You should be happy, not worried. Amicus strokes my hair. Yeah, but don't you think me being an outsider gives me a different perspective on all this? What if they aren't what they say they are? I mean, it doesn't even matter what they say they are. The wolves see them as gods when they say they're not.
Yeah.
Like the monitor specifically pointed out that like they're not what Marco sees a god as, at least, as this like omniscient and omnipotent creature or deity. Like they literally have to talk through this other dude and then they have like limited abilities to control what's happening, and like they can apparently see the future, but not like they don't like perfectly control and guide everything. They're like these fucking wolves always fuck everything up. Like if they were so powerful, the things would just work. But like Amicus has this completely different understanding, which is funny because he's from the culture that has more contact with these things.
I was gonna say, you think that at this point they've had enough contact to hear from themselves that they are not gods. I mean, maybe they just don't like the thought that they aren't. Like, oh, of course you are. Don't say that. And they're like, no, we're not.
It also makes
guys.
you wonder what the leaders say about the parents, because like the only person with contact with the parents is the Wolven Emperor, and this all goes to like. I think even Caesar did this stuff too. Like, didn't the Romans also do this thing where they claimed that their emperor was like chosen by God? I'm sure. The Holy Roman Empire and all that.
But you know, like once again, maybe it is a comfort thing, because maybe it's like if there is this group of individuals that is like helping out your society, there might be two reasons as to explain them as a god if no one else has context. One it might just be easier, like, oh yeah, no, they're gods, you know, instead of like having people like think about them as maybe not having all the flaws that like people have, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, they're just gods and they're good. But it's like if you decide to make them people instead of gods, then you have like the question of like their intentions and like their like sense of morality and all this other. You have all these factors that you don't want to think about. So it's just like, oh no, they're just gods, guys. They're just gods. Like
they want to think of them as being gods, but so far the end game.
If they're people, they could have faults and they could be unreliable and they can have all these
they
things.
Could be wrong.
They could be wrong about everything. Exactly. And if
their entire plan could be wrong and doomed.
If the Emperor's listening to them and you don't say they're gods, then people are like, oh well, why should we trust you? Like why should we trust them? Saying like, oh no, they're gods and listening to them. It's like, okay, that seems like the right thing to do.
It's also interesting to think about the fact that like we know through the Chemians and so on that like the parents are the only ones that have this, like, at least from the Wolven perspective, like they need the parents to use stretch drive tech, which is how they get around. And that's how basically their empire even works. Without that, like they have to reconfigure how their entire society works because they just lose the ability to even travel to most of it.
It's probably like imagining if one day, like all the automobiles just stopped working. Any forms of transport just stopped existing altogether, and no matter what you did, you couldn't make them work for some reason.
Or for Mass Effect fans, the mass relay is just turning off, which is a plot point in its own right. And then but then the Chemians themselves are approaching. They either are approaching or already have the ability to do it themselves, which reinforces this idea that that quote about anything sufficiently advanced technology resembles magic and so on. And the idea that the parents could just be this ascended or a series of ascended races that are just so far technologically advanced that they might even be transdimensional or some shit, which makes them all the more not deities but just dudes that have too many toys.
Just very smart individuals trying to hand us fire like Prometheus. But Amicus is just no thoughts, head empty. It's easier
just trust
this way.
them. They are and have no reason not to be. Amicus's voice becomes more firm, and I can tell that he's starting to become uncomfortable with my questions. My advice to you? Listen to them. They will help you, and maybe even figure out a way to get us out of this mess. Besides, it's a great relief to know that you may be here for a reason. I'm starting to think I was meant to find you.
Oh, so cute.
Amicus hugs me again.
He really is just a little sweetheart in comparison to every other character in this game. He just has no ulterior motives. He's just a happy-go-lucky guy.
There's also a lot of the dog. There's the canine coding there too of a character that's just aggressively loyal and unquestioning. And now that's once again that is in the furry community and so on, that is an ongoing character trait. That's the wolf himbo setup is that whole unquestioning friendly loyal and so on, and here it's being deconstructed as being a distressing religious faith because nothing is simple in Adastra and everything's emotionally fraught, and I'm obsessed with the writing of this game for those kinds of reasons. And so it all exists in this larger context of both the furry fandom and just sci-fi and just visual novels and dating simulators, and they're looking at what other games do in these fields, and just how they're how they question they question the idea of the dog himbo. They question sci-fi universes. They question, oh no, I've been kidnapped by the hot alien in this visual novel. What's going to happen?
This wasn't nearly as simple as I thought it was going to be.
Every single
now there's
element,
politics involved.
Every single element is so thoughtful and self-reflective, and also in response to other pieces of media that I'm kind of obsessed with how they handle so much of this stuff. I love it. Now we're having an uncomfortable conversation about how we don't want to question the existence of God with the people that matter to us.
You can say the dogs here are dogmatic.
Yeah. and then after all this clever shit, then we're and also her name's Virginia Woolf.
We're smart. We know people. We know cultural references.
Now we're having this very real moment you have in real life where you just choose not to press something with people you care about, even though you're bothered by the thing, and it probably will just continue to be a thing that bothers you.
I do that all
maybe
the time.
Forever.
It's is this a hill I want to die on? No.
But also I wish we could fucking deal with this. I decide not to press further. I love and trust Amicus, but he's clearly on board with anything to do with the parents, and I doubt I'll be able to make him question that. Not that I really want to anyway. I just worry that I'm being led down a path that I really don't want to go down. Oh, Marco. Amicus, clearly sensing my continued anxiety, pulls me forward to kiss me. I kiss back, and it feels good, even though my stomach continues to churn.
10 minutes remaining, Marco.
Com uses his loud voice to call down to us from the top of the ladder.
He knows how to whisper and how to raise his voice.
Yeah. Amicus and I sigh in frustration. Want to have a little fun before you go? I look down and I'm kind of amazed to see that he still has a boner, which makes...
We were just talking about God.
Yeah.
He has a boner for
Which
God.
makes me wonder how much he'd really been engaged in our conversation. I have to tell you, I catch myself and lower my voice. What we've been doing to get you out.
I think what you should be talking about what you should be doing to get me off.
Okay, we're kind of at time, so I'm going to stop the episode there, though. But I do want to point out it's interesting that in universe, Marco has so little agency and control over what the fuck's happening. Like he's constantly told where he can do and what he can't do, and he's literally kidnapped, etc., etc. Like this is. He's very specifically limited on what he can ever actually, what choices he can even make, and so on. And then that's expressed interestingly in the fact that like we have so few choices in this game, like remarkably few. Like visual novels tend to have choices and a bunch of like good and bad endings throughout, and like you could like in a lot of visual novels I could have died like 6 times by now.
Yeah, like
just by picking the wrong option. Then we have to go back. Not only are most of my choices in my dreams, where it's and they're abstract concepts of like, is Amicus a good ruler and stuff like that. The most concrete, ignoring the part about whether or not I'm going to look at his dick, the most concrete choice I've had so far is whether or not to give up control.
Well, we also know that question about whether or not to look at his dick was not even a question.
I mean, you could pick either one. It doesn't really have a long consequence trail, but
and even this last one, the whether or not to give up control thing, it's kind of like, you know, obviously I'm an atheist, I'm a filthy atheist, but but that doesn't really seem like a choice to me. It seemed like a threat. It's basically if you don't choose this, then
the
this
way
is
it's
going
presented,
to happen.
the way it's presented
and
very much is a threat.
I basically don't have a choice.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, well.
That's definitely how it's framed. Yeah, it's the it makes you question the parents all the more because they're frustrating, and that's a fucked up thing to do in a lot of ways. But also, yeah, like just because I was talking about how this game's in conversation with other pieces of media and like is interrogating certain things, the fact that one of the only choices is to give up your choices is very specifically interesting. It very much feels like when Lisa it gives you the option to sacrifice something or sacrifice another something or ask why. Mm-hmm. And that's the worst thing you can do. Like those kinds of moments, like much like how Lisa is in conversation with that genre. Like this game's doing really interesting things, and like I'm obsessed with that stuff. I love that. I love that so much.
It's nice when like something that is, there's a million visual novels, so it's nice if one like deviates from the path even just a little bit to be self-reflective.
Yeah,
makes you think about you as an audience member, you know.
Yeah, you guys have even less control. Whoa.
Would you kindly?
Except whenever I say something really, really perverted or something, or have to describe all the cocks and everything, you can rewind it and watch it 12 times. Isn't that true control?
That's also not a choice. You guys just have to do it.
I wonder what the activity meter looks like on the last sex scene that happened. Like, if the engagement rose because people like, I'm going to watch it again.
Say cock again, Keith.
Say it.